Okay. I think you said 6. Dr. Gilman? How many? 7. 7. Get your timer.
2.1, we're calling the meeting to order and we'll stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
2.2, we welcome everybody to the meeting tonight and we'll start with introductions. Dr. Gilman.
Randy Gilman, Assistant Superintendent, Elementary.
Tammy Cardona, Assistant Superintendent, Secondary.
April Meckel, Board Member.
Jim Shalhoub, Director.
Carol Yount, Board Treasurer.
Susan Graham, Board Secretary.
John Stewart, Chief Financial Officer.
Kelly Brock, Assistant Superintendent, Human Resources.
Vicki Hansen, Board Member.
Michelle Chamberlain, Board Member.
Crystal Hargis, Vice President.
Paul Frigo, Superintendent.
Judy Smith, Board President. 2.3, we need a motion to approve the agenda for December 14th, 2021.
Motion.
Second, Chamberlain.
All in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? 2.4, approval of meeting minutes from November 14th, or November 16th, 2021. I need a motion.
So move.
All in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay. 3.1, patrons' comments. Dr. Gilman.
Yes, Brandon Williams is first, and as he makes his way to the mic, I'd like to remind our speakers this evening that problems involving a particular identifiable employees or student groups are reserved for executive session. Only items from the posted agenda may be discussed. A maximum of 30 minutes at the beginning of each meeting will be allocated for public comments. A 3-minute time period will be allowed per speaker. A warning will be given after 2.5 minutes. The Vice President of the Board will be the timekeeper.
On November 8th, 2021, the Department of Health and Human Services and the Department of Education jointly released a memo to public education institutions. In this memo, there are some troubling statements being made. Quote, we reach out to you for encouragement for you to actively support the vaccination process for children in your schools and communities. Quote, parents listen to school leaders and personnel. Parents are approximately twice as likely to get their child vaccinated if their school provides information about the vaccine. Quote, there is ample funding and resources available through the American Rescue Plan Act as well as FEMA to ensure you can cover costs of those in the clinic. Quote, we encourage you to use this opportunity to highlight safety and effectiveness of vaccines. Quote, we also encourage you to collaborate with student leaders to make efforts fun and get young people to participate. Quote, as trusted partners in your community, we ask that you do all that you can to help accelerate vaccination among school-age children. Shortly after this memo was released, it was announced that the Fox School District would be partnering with Pharmax to set up a COVID vaccination site on Fox School District property. At the last board meeting, it was explained that this would make it more convenient for students and parents to receive COVID vaccinations. Parents raised a question as to if we are doing this for the same for the flu shot. A board member responded to the question and said the flu shot is available throughout the community at many authorized clinics, pharmacies, etc. My response to that is so is the COVID shot. Why is the district advertising and pushing this COVID shot for children? If a parent wants to get their child a COVID shot, then they have the resources throughout the community to do so, just as they do with a flu shot, and it's free. This absolutely gives a perception and reinforces the belief that our school district is crossing the line and imposing on our children again. This is not the same as a dental bus or even a blood drive. This is a vaccine that is between a medical professional and a family. The district's responsibility is to educate our children. The district should not engage in a vaccine clinic or promoting such. Is the Fox School District prepared to be held accountable if a child has an adverse reaction to the shot? The board has repeatedly said safety is the top priority. How will the board feel if the shot negatively affects a child? If I were in your position, I would try to mend the relationship with the community instead of adding something else that is divisive. Instead of a vaccine clinic, I would suggest the district does something active
30 seconds.
such as a coat winter clothing drive, food drive, toy drive, etc. Things that children and families actually need. Instead of teaming up with a medical institution, why don't we try to team up with a local charity that helps families and children in need? Thank you.
Lou Rogers.
Hold on a second. Can we make sure the mic's working for these folks?
Hi, good evening. I don't have my notes. This may be a train wreck, probably really quick too. I just want to start off by saying, I know in the past meetings, a lot's been made over the character of the board. I don't want to attack anybody. I just believe we disagree on some things. Hopefully I can convey that respectfully. When I came in, I guess I was reminded, I had a discussion with a gentleman over here. I know you guys have rules about, I'm not here to call anybody out or, I guess I just kind of want to speak about my experience as a Fox parent. I've already had 4 kids graduate. We're on our 5th one. We're just hoping to get that last diploma and get out of here. But I guess for a long time, I just had nothing but good to say about, there's been some great people, everything positive. The last year and a half or so, I guess that's been tested somewhat. I was going to go into a little more detail, but like I said, I want to respect the rules. I just want to mention a couple things. I guess trying to make a point that I feel like COVID's become everything, and maybe some of the other issues are being missed. I know in my own household, as far as bullying, there's definitely been some issues, and I guess I just wish when we talk to the teachers or principals, I guess I'd like to see the same passion to fight against that as they are, like when somebody's not wearing a mask, if that makes sense. When we talk about the mask, I guess in my opinion, you know, I watch a lot of news, and there is a reason when you see all these politicians that you'll catch them not having their mask on, and it doesn't seem like that big a deal to them. And I believe because they're not afraid of it, but they want you to be afraid of it. So I just kind of feel like if people want to wear 5 masks, get many shots, you know, and, that's their right. But you know, as for me and my family, I just feel like that should be completely an individual's choice. I really, you know, it's probably about my 6th meeting coming up here, and even though, you know, they're good times, see a lot of good people, I just feel like the idea that we have to wait for an announcement, you know, to know how I'm going to dress my kid tomorrow, to me that seems kind of out there. I just feel like whether you're Joe Biden or the
30 seconds.
Fox School Board, I just kind of feel like in the past year or so, some lines have been crossed that really shouldn't be, and I just hope you guys use your power to correct it and let people make their own choice. That's all I got. Thank you for letting me speak, and Merry Christmas.
Stephanie Seaman.
So I want to start off by saying thanks for letting me speak tonight. I am a parent of a junior at Seckman High School. I'm concerned about some things that have been going on in our school district and how they are being handled. I want to start off by our contact tracers. We are paying them to contact trace. These people are not doing their job. They're not doing it diligent. They're not doing it at all, or half, I should say. For instance, I received an email on Tuesday November 23rd, that my daughter was in modified quarantine because she was in close contact with a positive student on Thursday, November 18th, and Friday, November 19th. I immediately responded to this contact tracer back stating that my daughter was not in attendance those days at school. She was on college visits. The contact tracer responded back that, sorry, we did not see that she was not in attendance. We do, apologize for that. We will take her off that list. I responded back saying, thank you. I understand, it happens. Well, let's fast forward then to the next Monday. My daughter's in her second class of the day, and I receive a text message from her that she has been called over the intercom to go to the principal's office. My child has never been called to the principal's office at all. She's humiliated now. She went down to the principal's office. They told her that she was on the list and she needed to put a mask on. She immediately texted me again. I said, you are not putting a mask on. You were not at school those days. I screenshotted the email. She showed the principal. The principal had said, you still need to put a mask on. I then called and talked to the principal, and I said, she's not putting one on. She was not at school those days, and she has not been on modified quarantine. She was to be removed from that list. She then told me that she was only doing her job, and she was told that all the students that were on that list had to put a mask on. Not only put a mask on, but be segregated at lunchtime. I then told her again, no matter if she was on that modified quarantine, I'm sorry, she would not put one on. She has health concerns and things that would make problems for her. She let her go back to class. My daughter then texted me again saying that she's been humiliated, she's upset, she wants to come home, and I told her she needed to stay the rest of the day. I believe that we need to get rid of these contact tracers like our neighboring schools have.
30 seconds.
It is a parent's job to keep their child home if they're sick. It is not their job nor your job to tell us when our kids should stay home. I believe as a parent, that's our job, and we need to stop segregating and putting modifying quarantines on our kids. Thank you.
Stacy Risky.
Good evening. The beauty in all of us being here tonight is that we all have a common goal. To do what is right for our children. That should bring out the optimism in all of us. Life will always be order and chaos. What makes us different is how we acknowledge those life lessons by learning and growing from them. John Dewey once said, "We do not learn from experience, we learn from reflecting on experience." It has been nearly 2 years since we were told to stay in our homes for 2 weeks, wear masks, homeschool on computers, and fight over toilet paper. We were all in such a state of shock and panic that we did not stop to question what we were truly being asked to do. For the sake of safety, we gladly gave away our freedoms. We forgot the warning of Benjamin Franklin when he stated, "Those who give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." We shouldn't be surprised that we lost our freedoms when we gave them away without question, especially when we were told not to question. After every tragic event, failure, or mistake, it is an opportunity to step back and ask the question, what did I learn from this? What can I take away from this to make me a better person? When reflecting on the chaos of the past 2 years, the optimist in me sees a bright future for us, community. After all, we are Americans and we are very resilient. We learned that we need to be more active and aware of the education our children are receiving. We also learned that as parents, we need to organize, cooperate, and support one another. As a community, we need to figure out how we can help our teachers, administrators, and board members. We need to find a positive path to our common goal. We all want an encouraging and inviting climate that our children will flourish in. In a few weeks, We will be ushering in a new year. I urge everyone to leave the
30
negativity
seconds.
here. Let's come back in 2022 with a clear and open view of making the Fox C-6 school district the best that we know it can be. Let's take all the lessons that we have learned about the craziness of 2020 and 2021 and grow from them. I leave you with this final quote from Helen Keller. When one door of happiness closes, another door opens. But we look so long at the closed door that we do not see the one which has been opened for us. I believe that we have an open door to positive
Time.
possibilities in 2022. Let's vow to work together. Thank you.
Tamara Walters.
Hello, my name is Tamara Walters. I'm a parent in the district, a substitute teacher who has worked throughout the district, and I'm now working as one of our contact tracers. Tonight, I'm speaking from these 3 different viewpoints. Our district's objective since the beginning of the school year has been to keep things as normal as possible, to keep our students in school in person. Starting the school year with universal masking was the right thing to do and allowed us to do that. Since we have now moved to a mask optional policy, I feel that the modified quarantine, if done in a streamlined and organized fashion, is the best practice for the time being, both for keeping our students healthy and keeping them in school. I want to take a minute to explain our contact tracing. We have a home page with a COVID link. This link was created so that anyone, parents or staff, at any time, could submit information regarding their COVID issues, such as test results, reporting of symptoms, vaccination proof. Contact tracers must receive proof of a lab-confirmed test before we can even begin notifications to expose students and staff. Unfortunately, sometimes it may take 3 to 5 days before the notifications are submitted and we receive the documentation. This causes further delays in communications. When parents and staff receive communication in the evenings, sometimes late, on the weekends or on the holidays, that's because a contact tracer is there physically working behind a computer in real time to get that communication out. I believe it is necessary to provide clear, effective communications, both to our parents who are trying to navigate a complex situation and to our staff who seem unsure about how the procedure is supposed to work. We have answered calls from parents who are frustrated, not at the idea of the modified quarantine, but in the way it's being carried out. Some parents and staff do not even know that we have a way to submit info online, and this has created more chaos, more work, and more distrust in our district. The proposed draft of changes to our current mitigation plan has great ideas and intent. However, more definitive information needs to be considered before implementation. For example, what is considered a spike in cases? What factors are considered? Should we continue to implement masking for 14 days when a building hits 2%? Is a modified exclusion preferred to excluding our students from school for 10 days for COVID symptoms, which could easily be symptoms of other illnesses? And let me say, since I mentioned the 2.5 threshold, it works. Fox High School was snowballing with cases, with one exposure running into the next. It was very frustrating for students, for parents, and staff on the ground in that building. We utilized your policies and prevented many students and staff from getting sick, and it truly did its job by slowing the spread before things got worse. I would encourage the board to do their due diligence by working alongside the superintendent and our director of nursing to evaluate what we're doing, how it could be done better. We have a great team of contact tracers and school nurses who care deeply for our community and our students. We want to keep them healthy. We want to keep them in school. In conclusion, as a parent to a child with both complex medical issues and severe academic delays, I see both sides of this coin, the need to keep our children safe and healthy and the need for their education. We need to do our very best to provide a safe environment for all students to learn, and the best way we can do that is to keep them in school buildings as much as possible. I believe that we can work together, putting differences aside, as we continue to deal with COVID and the impact it's having on our community and our schools. Thank you.
Austin Faust.
Hello, Fox C-6 School Board. I came up here tonight to tell all of you thank you. Thank you for removing the mask mandate at school. I'd like to tell you all about the change I have seen personally at school and how I feel it is a better, more relaxed, and positive learning environment. I not only speak for myself on this matter, but hundreds of other students who feel the same way as I do. I can now understand my teachers better when they are lecturing and speaking to me. There is no longer any tension between teachers and students who feel differently on the subject. I'm able to see all my friends' faces as well as my teachers' faces, and there is overall just a happier feeling in the building, and it makes going to school not feel as bad. I no longer have to fiddle with a mask on my face for 7 hours a day, and I can be more focused in class. For me, personally, being able to see a teacher's face helps immensely. I can honestly say some of my grades have even improved just from me being more focused in class and not having to worry about the masks. I'm sure if other students were here tonight speaking, they could list even more positive changes they have seen themselves due to the mask mandate being removed. So once again, thank you all for making the right choice, and I urge you all to stand strong on this decision. Thank you for your time.
Final comment this evening is from Dave Risky.
We live in a time where we receive vast amounts of information, and unfortunately, over time, we forget most of it. Let's review some of the facts that we have forgotten. Like myself, most of you have parents that lived through the Great Depression and World War II. Like myself, you saw incredible prosperity during post-war life, worldwide respect for the United States, the fears of the Cold War, the loss of a president, becoming aware of racial injustice, the rebellion against government and military overreach, landing on the moon, dysfunctional government leading to mistrust, exchange of the gold standard for the petrodollar, gas shortages and double-digit inflation, hatred towards America, the AIDS epidemic, recession, and again, a dysfunctional government leading to a shift in morals and values. 9/11, bailouts, the start of self-loathing, and America is just bad. And finally, phenomenal growth and prosperity. With age, you either acquire wisdom, become compliant, or live in fear of change. Most of you have chosen to lock the door, pull the curtains, and live in fear from cable TV. No self-reflection or critical thinking. You have mentioned concern for the children in our community, but yet you are the cause for the harm and the division. I can only hope one day you will be able to reflect and see the mental and emotional harm that you have caused our kids and good memories that you have taken from them. In what world is it right to teach our children to break laws and disobey the ruling of the court? Many in this room look forward to this April as an end to this. Yes, 3 of you will be replaced, but to me that is just the start. Then it will be another and another. I have a long road ahead of me, and I will make it my duty to remind everyone how inept and irresponsible you are.
3.2, Superintendent's comments. Dr. Frigo.
Good evening, everybody. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Really appreciate the interest in our board meetings. First of all, I want to wish everybody a happy holiday season, a happy new year. I hope all of you get to enjoy some relaxing time with your loved ones, wherever it may be, and come back refreshed for the school year in 2022. So, wish you all the best. I want to give an update on the vaccination clinic we talked about the last board meeting. It's Thursday of this week from 4:30 to 7:30 at Rickman Auditorium. Parental consent and parents or guardians need to be present to have a child get the vaccine. Right now we have a little over 200 people registered to receive the vaccine, and there's still space, so if you're interested, there's registration information and details on our website. Back in July, when I first got here, we talked about the board and I working together to come up with some goals, and one of the first things was that we were going to benchmark student achievement. Well, the the information's been embargoed. We couldn't share with the public till December 1st. So this is my first opportunity to share with the community where we're at and some four key indicators we will be utilizing from this point forward to monitor how our district is doing. And I'd like to share some of this with you tonight. So we're going to be looking at ACT scores. We're going to be looking at graduation rates. We're going to be looking at how our students are doing on the MAP test in English language arts as well as math. How many of our students are performing at proficient or advanced levels? And what you see here is a listing of the 10 districts in Jefferson County and where we rank currently in the county. We're 6th in our ACT scores, we're 5th in our graduation rate, we're 4th in our ELA and math proficient and advanced. Now I know this district is known for past great performance well above the state average and doing great things, and we're going to get back to that. But I think it's important we're transparent and share with you where we're at this point. So the next point of data is I looked at districts around the state of similar size. We have districts between 9,000 and 15,000 students. And here we have 8 districts that fall in that category. As you can see, same categories, ACT, graduation rate, how many of our kids are proficient and advanced in ELA and math. We rank 6th and 7th, 6th in ACT, 7th in graduation rate, and 4th in our ELA performance and our math performance ranked against these other school districts. And lastly, I broke it down even further. There's 5 districts of our size who are also made up of similar socioeconomic status, between 15% and 30% free and reduced lunch. And I've delineated that in the first column there as far as what our free and reduced lunch rate is. And you can see of these 5 schools with similar size, similar socioeconomic demographics, we rank 5th in ACT score, we rank 5th in graduation rank, as well as 4th in proficient advanced in ELA and proficient advanced math. Now, a lot of you don't know me very well, but I'm an extremely competitive person. And I want to be number 1 in all 3 of those areas. I want to be number 1 in Jefferson County, I want to be number 1 in districts of our size, and I want to be number 1 in districts that look like us with socioeconomic status. But we all have to be in this together. Our teachers, our students, our board, myself, our community, we all have to work together to help our kids be the best they can be on a daily basis and perform at a rate that other students in the area or in the state are performing. And once we're number one in these categories, we're going to strive to be number 1 in the state. But I just wanted to share this. This is where we're starting. Upon my entrance in the district, and I vow to work every day to make sure those rankings improve over time to have the best performing kids we can have, whether it's ACT tests, we want to graduate more kids, and we want more kids at grade level or above in ELA and math, because if they're there, they'll be successful in whatever they're doing. So I just wanted to share that. I promised it back in July, and this has been my first opportunity since the information was embargoed. So thank you for that. And last but not least,
Dr.
Oh, go ahead. Yes.
Can we make some comments?
Sure.
Relative to that? Those of you who have been attending board meetings for the last 3 years have heard me express concerns about our declining student achievement. First of all, I want to thank Dr. Frigo for making that a priority, because the whole reason we're here is to make sure that our kids are learning. I don't know if anybody knows this, but 2012 to 2017, we were performing better than 92% of the school districts in the state of Missouri. We were in the top 8%. Some changes were made in 2017, and we declined immediately down to the top 16%, and then the next year we declined down to the top 25%. The truth is, we have lost our focus. There are some changes that were made that were structural changes. We moved our 6th grades up to the middle schools. We experienced a significant decline in our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade achievement. And I think a lot of that contributed to what we're doing now. But the truth is, our teachers were not responsible for that change. Our teachers were getting that 92% percentile ranking. It was some structural changes that were made, which is okay. We went to block scheduling. We did some things like that. But whenever you do that, you got to watch how your kids perform in those situations. And when they begin to decline, you have to take some action. And no action was taken. And I'm glad that Dr. Frigo has made that an absolute priority. Our teachers are some of the best in the state of Missouri. They've had great success. And only because of some things they had no control over, we have realized a significant decline in our learning. And of course, COVID has not helped that either. But most of what we're talking about here happened before COVID. The decline occurred before COVID. And so I believe that we have an opportunity to move forward. I think some of the fixes can be really, really easy to make. Some are going to be a little bit more difficult. But if it's not a priority and we're not letting everybody know how we're doing, then we're never going to get better. I can tell you that. So thank you for making that a priority.
Thank you for that additional information. And all I'll ask you to do, you'll see my tweets, you'll see my Facebook posts. The more all of us in a community can encourage our kids to read, that's the key. That'll unlock everything else. If our kids can read at grade level or above, they can be successful. So you see me post data occasionally, studies occasionally about how the importance of reading, and especially over the summer if they're not going to summer school. So as a community, let's encourage our kids to read as much as they can, and that'll be a huge key to the success of this entire district. So thanks for listening to me about that. Any opportunity I get, I want to talk about reading. Last but not least, we got our band students. A while back, we talked about all district band. A bunch of those students had auditioned for all state, and we're proud to let you know that we had 8 band members from Fox selected for all state, and a band member from Seckman that was selected for all state, and we're looking forward to them going on to perform with the all-state band. Great achievement by these kiddos, and I think they deserve a round of applause. That's
Okay.
it.
Moving on to 4.1, COVID mitigation plan. Dr. Frigo.
Yes, you have before you a recommended COVID mitigation plan with some adjustments that were made to it. We've gotten some questions about the plan that was posted with draft on it. I want people to understand we're trying to be transparent. We posted the plan for the board to look at as if it would be rolled out to the public. So we didn't want anything to change if the plan's approved. They could amend it and they could adjust it tonight, but I don't want you to think that there were some questions about why it was posted the way it was and some of the wording in it. It's just we were trying to be transparent and let you know if the plan's approved, this is what it's going to look like. There'll be no adjustments to it. And I understand some of the concern, but I wanted to let you know that was how that rolled out. Some of the main points of the plan we're bringing forward to the board to consider. We're maintaining the 2% threshold for masking in buildings. We're removing any reference to the Jefferson County Health Department guidance, including modified quarantines. We will exclude from school only confirmed positives and close contacts who are symptomatic. We will continue to do contact tracing. However, close contacts who are asymptomatic will be advised to monitor symptoms. They will not be excluded from school. We've added a reference to our communicable disease policy, which has been in place for many years, policy EBB, and we've added provisions for a classroom, grade level, or building to go virtual. So having said that, you have a recommended plan in front of you to vote on, and turn it over to the board.
Anybody have any questions?
Can you clarify what your idea is to go virtual? What circumstances would take place for that to happen? Do you have something in mind?
For example, if we're having trouble staffing the classroom, staffing a grade level, staffing a building, when we had the outbreak at Fox, it was very difficult to have school on a different, regular, sustained basis. And with current court rulings and so on. We feel like an elected body needs to vote on that to give us the option to go virtual if we would need that. But it would be after we took other steps to try to mitigate the situation. But we just wanted to have that provision in there as an option.
So if, for example, if you did need to go virtual, how much notice would be given, do you think, before that? Oh. If
Well,
you had to go virtual, how much notice would be given to parents and students before that?
We'd
would
like to
happen?
transition as quick as possible, but it depends on the
Yeah,
I mean, there's so many
depends.
variables in this.
Yeah.
I don't want to say something because they'll say the superintendent said
Right.
24 hours or 48 hours.
So you'll
if-
do your best to get
We'll
it.
do our best to make the decision as soon as possible to make sure kids' education's continued in a timely fashion. I'm not trying to avoid an answer, but there's too many variables.
So with the so we're not gonna do modified quarantine. I have to say that when we were getting the emails and the frustration with, students feeling, isolated or, feeling embarrassed, that broke my heart, cause we wouldn't want that. So moving forward, if, there's gonna be no modified quarantine, so no one's going to be seated separately in
No,
lunchroom.
if this plan's approved.
Okay.
And besides that feedback, there's also the issue that the modified quarantine, again, came from the Jefferson County Health Department, which is not an elected body. And so that's why we're removing all references to them in there.
But as a school board, we could, ourselves, we could say modified quarantine.
could,
But
yes.
we do not,
That's why I'm just explaining why the administration recommended that.
thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, we need a motion to adopt the revised COVID mitigation measures for the 2021-22 school year as proposed by the district administration.
So move.
A second?
Second.
All in favor? Yes. Anyone opposed? Okay. All right, 4.2, independent audit presentation. Mr. Stewart.
So due to staffing issues at the audit firm, the report is not currently ready. So I would ask the board to table discussion of the audit report until we receive it and talk about it at the next meeting.
Okay, so do you want to say anything
Yes,
about it?
yes. So there are certain statutory requirements on an audit that we have to have it done before the end of the calendar year. So we have talked to our auditor and told them they have to have it done by the 27th of December. So we have 3 dates available, the 27th, 28th, or 29th. Anytime during the day, we can do it virtually. We need at least 4 board members there, all those provisions considered. Can you guys let us know right now what time may work for you, or do you need to research and give me a call, and then I can work with John to book the auditor for whatever date works? We just thought we'd have that discussion here.
The
27th, 28th, and 29th. It doesn't have to be in the evening. It can be during the day. We told them they need to be available when our folks can be available because we have a timeline.
I can do it any of those days, but on the 28th, I would need to do it before 3.
Okay?
The other days, anytime.
I'm available any of those days.
I'm available.
I'm available.
And you can do this virtually. So we have enough to be available. John? Wednesday? How about we do the Tuesday, the 28th, about 10 o'clock in the morning?
If that works for the board, that works for me.
So we'll get a notice out of that board meeting. I'm going to be in Arkansas, so I'll be participating virtually. But we'll make that available to people virtually through YouTube, whatever we do, right, JP? All right, so 10 o'clock, and Susie will make sure we get the notice out that we need to. And John, you'll make sure you get a hold of the auditors.
Yes, just to make sure that's December 28th, which is a Tuesday, 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
Okay.
Okay,
Awesome, thank you.
So we need a motion to table the approval of the audit until the 28th. All in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay. 4.3, substitute transportation and summer school pay rates. This is Dr. Brock.
Yes, so at our last meeting, the board approved pay increases for classified staff beginning January 1st. And many of our substitute transportation and summer school pay rates are tied to that salary schedule, to step 1 of that salary schedule. And so with those changes going into effect January 1st, we're requesting the board's approval for all attached changes to those 3 categories as well. And the way that they're written, they would automatically update each time our step 1 changes from here on out to make sure that they constantly stay current with our classified salary schedule.
So having said that, Kelly, to make sure everybody understands, if they approve support staff increases, they would not have to, we would not have to bring this back to them. This would automatically update, or would they need to re-vote on it?
No, that's correct. It would automatically update, so we wouldn't bring it back for approval unless there was something that we were wanting to, something else that we were wanting to change.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, we need a motion to approve the revisions to the substitute pay rates, transportation pay rates, and summer school pay rates as outlined in the attached documents.
I make a motion to approve.
Second, Hanson.
All in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay. 4.4, memorandum of understanding with Washington University. Dr. Cardona.
So I'm asking the board to approve the memorandum of understanding with Washington University, and this is to allow us to place an audiology, kind of like a student teacher. So we do MOUs with universities when we're placing a student teacher, and this is because that's equipment, and we want to make sure that we have that MOU of understanding in there, so this audiologist can get in and start their training.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Who made the motion? Crystal and
Shalou.
Sorry.
Tammy, it's not an audiologist, isn't it? Isn't it a
Audiologist.
SLP? Or
It's for audiology and communication sciences. It's an internship.
oh, intern? Okay.
So they will also be working with our students and doing that testing with our students.
Okay. 4.5, credit card authorizations. Mr. Stewart.
So the district uses purchasing cards for various items. We have 2 folks we're wanting to issue purchasing cards to. Both are drama and theater teachers, one at Fox High School and one at Seckman High School, and each would have a limit of $750. Those folks do go out and make various purchases with performances coming up, and a lot of times they'll be someplace that may not take their card, their personal card, or more likely they have to use their personal card and submit that for reimbursement, and we try to avoid reimbursements, so this would just get through that. POs would still be required, and per policy DJF, board approval is required for this.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay. 4.6, David Flood, motivational speaker. Dr. Cardona.
I'm asking the board to approve the use of $4,900 that's in our title funds to bring in this motivational speaker. I've had some questions asked. So this was actually initiated from Fox Middle School and from Ridgewood Middle School. Our hope is once we can have the funds that we can reach out and see if we can't possibly, through buses, bring in the other two middle schools as well. But this is where this plan originated, was from these two middle schools, so that's why you see these two middle schools listed, but our hope is to be able to bring in as many middle schoolers as possible. I also added the link for anybody that's interested in seeing some of his motivational speaking, and I watched several of those videos, and he seems to be very good for kids.
Okay, we need a motion to use the $4,900 in the fund to bring in the student and staff presenter, David Flood.
Motion Chamberlain?
All in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay. 5.1, collective bargaining representative, Dr. Brock.
Yes, I just wanted to announce to the board any year in which the district will be collective bargaining with our teacher group. Each organization submits a membership count, and the group with the highest membership in that year is the body that the district would be negotiating with for that year. So this year, our CTA submitted a membership of 223 teachers, and our NEA submitted a membership of 403, making NEA the teacher representative for this year's collective bargaining.
Okay, that was information only. Thank you, Dr. Brock. And 6.1, financial report, Mr. Stewart.
So you have in front of you the financial reports for the first 5 months of the fiscal year. So this is through November 30th, and if you are playing along at home and watching the bars there, if you look at November and that brown or olive colored bar there at the right, that's where we're at November of 2021. And if you look at that as opposed to previous Novembers, we're $10.5 million ahead of where we were a year ago. So we currently are in a decent financial situation, much better than we have been in a number of years. That $10.5 million increase in fund balance, just so you know where that's coming from, our revenues are up over previous year by about $5.5 million, and specifically our local revenues, which includes our Prop C sales tax. Sales tax in the state of Missouri is doing fantastic. People are buying stuff, so that's generating a lot of revenue. So we're up $850,000 there. Because CKC and building blocks, we actually have students in this year, and we're doing things. So that's provided about an additional $637,000 over a year ago. And we've got some Project Lead the Way grant money that we didn't have last year that's just under $300,000. As far as state money goes, we're up about $2.7 to $2.8 million there. Formula money, so the money we get from the state through the foundation formula, which I'm also going to throw in there, the Classroom Trust Fund. Those are up a total of about $1.7 million. If you remember, a year ago we had been withheld about $3 million at the beginning of the year, and then they gradually released that. So that $1.7 million difference will disappear by the end of the year. But at this point, we're up 1.7. Transportation is up, reimbursements $83,000, which is great. We're still woefully underfunded according to how much they're supposed to reimburse us for our transportation dollars, but we're up over what we were a year ago. And our ECSE reimbursements are also up $784,000. In the federal revenue subtotal, we're up about $800,000. Most of that has to do with ESSER 2 funding, which I'll get into some ESSER discussions here in a moment. But we had a little bit of ESSER 2 this year, none last year, $421,000. Food service reimbursements are up $1.5 million, and that's because we have kids in class 5 days a week, and so we're getting those reimbursements. And CARES money, we're up $1.15 million over where we were a year ago. Now, with our revenues being up $5.5 million, our expenditures overall, and this is just operating funds that I'm talking about here, Funds 1 and Funds 2, where the majority of our expenditures are. Our expenditures are only up $1.6 to $1.7 million, so there's a nice positive. Our revenues are up 5.5. Our expenditures are only up 1.7. We've also transferred less to the Capital Projects Fund. That's just under, it's about $2.9 million fewer, so that goes back into the fund balance. And then don't forget, we started the fiscal year with a fund balance of $3.8 million higher than the prior year. So that's another portion of it. So all in all, we're progressing well. Specifically, before I get into the ESSER funds, did you all have any questions on the information I provided there?
John, are you getting any indication of what our local funds are going to be looking like this year?
We just got our first distribution this past week, last Friday, and it was lower than normal, which there could be a variety of reasons there.
Significantly lower or slightly?
I'd a little lower. It's not horrible, but it's also the first distribution.
Yeah.
You know, and depending on the economy, you know, people may not be paying their taxes till December 29th, 30th, 31st, because that's when it's due. That doesn't concern me. We will be getting, if you look at the full assessed valuation and the tax rate against that, our tax revenue should be up overall. I think it's $3, maybe $4 million, just because of the increase in assessed valuation. Even though we did roll the tax rate back as we're required to, it still increases revenue. So we should see a nice increase, but again, it depends on collection rates and how much folks have in their pockets to pay that if it's not already escrowed in their house payment.
I have a question, John. I know in the years past, we've been talking about the summer school projects with capital improvements or out of capital funds, and then we get to that, and then we have a discussion about not having the funds from the previous year or whatever to pay for that project. This year, it seems like we have quite a bit of money. So when will you bring to us the capital projects for the summer?
That is a great question, and there's been some internal discussion on that already. As you all are aware, we have Prop P funds that are getting ready to cut loose with some actual construction going on starting the spring and then really getting busy over the summer. So we're going to have 4 major projects that are going to start this year and be going full bore during the summer. Fox High School, Seckman Middle School, which, by the way, today was the pre-bid meeting for those 2 projects. So we had some interesting companies in attendance for that meeting. But then we've also got the addition to Antonia Elementary and renovations, and we got the addition to Merrimack Heights Elementary and renovations. So in the discussions we've had with 4 major addition and renovation projects going on, I don't know that it would be prudent for us to take on any major in-house capital projects. So Scott and I are talking about maybe some smaller, not that we wouldn't do any, but some smaller things because his crew is going to be stretched with 4 major projects going on and trying to manage those and keep everything going for those. So we're looking at evaluating some smaller projects, maybe some individual HVAC unit replacements instead of, a whole building worth or a whole wing of a building worth. Various smaller projects that we could take on and it wouldn't cause too much of an additional strain, but we could still make some progress on our list.
John, we have targeted some of our ESSER funds for some of those heating and cooling projects, have we not?
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
And that's another concern too, is we've still got this supply chain issue with HVAC units and other equipment and all that. So any other questions particularly on that before I move on to talk a little bit about ESSER funds? Okay, so this other slide, I know I had received a question about just where are we at with ESSER funds and what have we, what have we been allocated, what have we spent, and what have we spent it on? So far there's been 3 allocations of ESSER funds. The first ESSER 1, Fox was allocated a total of $1,082,531.20. Of that, and of the three ESSER funds, ESSER 1 is the only one that has a mandatory non-public allocation. So there's $29,591.71 allocated to non-public schools in the Fox C-6 school district. So we had, as far as a district, what's that, make it a little over $1,050,000 to spend as far as the district goes. If you remember back to the beginning of the pandemic when we were first notified all of this, we allocated the vast majority of it to salaries because we had shut down, sent everybody home, but continued to pay the salaries, and it was easy to get through, less red tape with the feds and less bookkeeping issues. So of that $1,082,000, we've spent all but $50 of it, and that $50 is part of the non-public. So ESSER 2, we were allocated $4,024,919. We have, to this point, expended $424,450.26. All of those expenditures have occurred in this fiscal year, and we have actually received a reimbursement of $421,130.58. And that's another note I should make. All three of these ESSER funds are reimbursement programs. So we don't get $1 million, $4 million, and then $9 million, and then figure out how to spend it. We figure out how to spend it, and we spend it, and then we submit for reimbursement. So that's just a clarification that needed to be made. So anyway, we've got allocation plans out there for the remainder of the ESSER 2 funds over the next the remainder of this one and one other fiscal year to use up the remainder of that $4 million. ESSER 3, which came out spring of last year, and then more information during the summer, we were allocated $8.9 million, and to this point we have expended $353,000, just a little over that, so we still have a little under $8.6 million to spend on that. And you can see the different categories under each of those. That we're spending on Canvas, curriculum, graduation costs and curriculum, that's under ESSER 2. ESSER 3 includes part of the contact tracer salaries and benefits, and a large portion for credit recovery, and that's what we've already expended. But as you mentioned, Mr. Shalou, we've got some allocated currently to building projects, HVAC, for air purity in buildings. So any questions concerning ESSER funds?
John, I was wondering, with the reimbursement, does that come in the same fiscal year, or does the reimbursement come in the next year?
Generally, the reimbursement comes like within a month or so after we submit for reimbursement.
Okay, I was just wondering because it doesn't work like early childhood that is always a year behind.
Right. No, it's,
Okay.
yeah, the federal program reimbursements are generally pretty quick turnaround of a month or so.
John, none of these ESSER fund balances show up in our reserve fund, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct, because
it's money in, money out.
it's money in, money out, absolutely.
When do you have to spend the money by? Is there a deadline?
There is, and ESSER 2, the deadline, I believe, is September 30th of 2023. ESSER 3 is, I believe, September 30th of 2024.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody have any other questions for Mr. Stewart? Okay. Moving on to 7.1, payment of bills, Group A. We need a motion to approve the Group A bills as presented.
I have one question about the bills. I know books are a big issue right now with people and cross-checking and all of that, and there are a lot of books here that are purchased, and it just gives the title and not the author, so it can create some confusion when checking it. I just wanted to make you aware of that. Because if people go and check these and Google them, all kinds of things can come up that maybe it has nothing to do with it. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm looking at John. Can the check register contain more information, or?
I will have to see what's included on the PO, because I know the PO lists titles. I don't know that they include the author
Okay,
in those.
just heads up, that's all.
But we can look into that, and if the author's somewhere in the PO, we can see what we can do about getting that included in the listing as well.
Thank you, I know that's more work, but I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate the heads up. Thank you.
I noticed going through the bills that there are a lot of payments to other districts, and I haven't noticed that in the past. It says like repayment, or I can't find it right now. But is this from COVID or from kids going to other schools? What's
I would, what page in particular? There's multiple reasons we pay other districts.
it just seemed like there was more than, I guess.
And I know.
Could it be McKinney-Vento stuff?
Absolutely.
For our public, McKinney-Vento is homeless students, and there's certain laws that regulate where they can go to school, and sometimes payments need to be made. So make sure you guys understand what we're talking about.
Okay, we need a motion to approve Group A bills as presented.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, that carries. 7.2, commercial package insurance renewal. Mr. Stewart.
Okay, so each year we seek bids for our property insurance, liability insurance. Our insurance broker does that service for us. And so this year was no different. He solicited bids. Property coverage is up due to nationwide trends and losses, as well as higher than usual inflation, which has kind of been caused by the pandemic and shortages and all that. So that also increases property values, which increases insurance costs. So the bids were solicited on behalf of the district from several different companies. The premiums that you have in front of you for 2022 are $707,106 compared to 2021 premiums of $614,212. That's a 15.12% increase. That's just for the property and liability insurance. Increases over the last few years. Last year was a 3.1% increase. The year prior, 2020, was a 22.03% increase. And 2019 was a 7.37. So you'll see over the last handful of years anyway, it's been a little bit volatile. The board has to approve insurance for us, so I would just ask that the board approve the lowest cost package that you have in front of you, which includes splitting the coverage between 4 different insurance companies, those being Wright Specialty Insurance Company, Hartford Steam Boiler, Glatfelter Public Practice, and RSU Indemnity Company. And if you're looking at the premium summary, you'll see that the totals comparatively this year and last year are much higher than what you see in the board information item, and that's because that includes also our commercial auto insurance for all our buses and fleet vehicles, as well as our workers' compensation insurance. Those two are bid at separate times and have already been approved this year, one in July and one in September. So I've backed those out for the numbers that you see in the information section.
Okay, we need a motion to approve the commercial package insurance renewal, property and liability coverages for the calendar year 2022 with a premium of $707,106.
Motion to approve as presented?
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, 7.3 donations. Dr. Frigo.
Again, we have
Again, we have Midwest Regional Bank stepping up to help a couple of our middle schools. The Anheuser Estate in Kimswick helping Fox High School, and then Christopher and Deborah Wynn, a donation for Hodge, and the district from Solid Rock Ministries. All wonderful, generous donations, and I'd like to acknowledge those publicly and make a motion to approve them as presented.
We need a motion to approve the donations as presented.
I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor? Anyone opposed? Aye, that carries. 8.1, second reading and adoption of policy GCBDA. Dr. Brock.
We were requesting that the board accept this as a second reading and adoption of GCBDA. This policy was brought for a first reading at our last board meeting, and no changes have been made.
Like to have a point of discussion. I understand and support the idea of when people make a lateral move and transferred from a 10-month or 11-month position to a 12-month, counting the years of service. But I have a concern with the provision in the policy regarding paying people for unused sick leave when they leave the district. I'm concerned about the financial impact that could be on the district. Not sick leave, vacation leave. I'm sorry, not sick leave, vacation leave. I misspoke. Thank you, Mr. Shalhoub. And just because it's hard to plan for that, and I think it would be better to take that out of the policy, and then on an annual basis, if there was money there, to consider it as an exception rather than having it in a policy regarding paying staff for unused vacation days, because depending on the number of people who retire or leave the district, that it's hard to plan for that, how much money that could be.
Mrs. Smith, I'd like to make a motion that we again postpone the review of this policy until after the teacher negotiations. This is a very broad policy, and it affects a lot of things in our district. And one of the things is our finances, and I'm just not ready to consider this at this time until after we go through the teacher negotiations. So I make a motion that we table this till after that time.
Okay, so you are not willing to let the people accrue their days according to the years of service?
I'm not willing to address this policy in any way at this time, because I can see that some of the things in here that the changes are being made is going to affect our finances, and I just don't think we're ready to make, or I'm not ready to make that decision yet.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Can we have a little more discussion?
Yes.
Actually, there's two things here that we're really looking at, changes. One is the additional paying for the vacation days, and I agree with you on that. Until we are able to get through our negotiations with our staff and get those kind of settled, spending any other money for anything, in my mind, is just a little premature. However, the piece where they can transfer their years of service, if they've been working as a secretary as an 11-month and they go to a 12-month, I agree with that. I think we ought to do that. I think that's only fair.
Can I jump in?
Go ahead.
The GCBDA is for professional staff, and that provision that you're talking about, Mr. Shalhoub, is not part of this policy because it doesn't affect certified, but the next item is the one for support staff where that is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll second your motion then.
So we have a motion.
I'm sorry. I guess what I'm concerned about is putting it into policy about paying people for unused vacation days. I don't know if there's a need to put it in policy, because once it's in policy, you have to do it every year. And I would think it would be the exception rather than the rule to pay people for unused vacation days. It would, in my mind, consideration would only be given to that if the financial status of the district was such that it was clear it could be afforded, and that would be something that would be a benefit that could be applied to any eligible staff member. And so my concern is a little bit broader. I mean, I hear what you're saying about the teacher negotiations. I agree with that as well. But I'm not clear regarding the need to put it into a policy. That's just,
Well, some of the suggestions that are made could really, we could be talking about thousands of dollars. And as much as I would love to be able to do that, I just think it's something that needs to be really thought more about, and our finances more considered. And I just think there's so much in here that we need to think about before we make a decision on it. So my motion stands.
Is there, excuse me, is there a way to actually put this in real terms? Maybe look at the last 3 years of how many days went unused, and to know how much money we're actually talking about, to give those of us who are concerned about that a better idea. I know last year we had low retirement, so then we need to look at the previous 2 years, maybe to get an average or something, just to get some concrete numbers down to see what we're actually talking about.
Yes.
this year we've got the incentive as far as
Right.
people notifying earlier, so we might know our numbers earlier than in the past, and
I
there
don't
could be
know, I
more.
know, again,
People are very
lot more
tired
work.
of COVID, more people could be retiring.
Dr. Brock, do we have that database? that we
Yes, I'd be able to pull that.
could- Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So we have a motion from Ms. Yount to table this. Did you second that, Jim? Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Okay, so we are tabling it. I know, I'm just clarifying what's being said. Okay, so the motion is to what?
To table this policy until after teacher negotiations and then review it.
Okay, and this is not the one about vacation, for accrued vacation?
As far as years of service, no.
Okay.
Yes.
Right, 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 right. Okay, all right, those in favor?
Yes.
Those opposed?
Yes. Or I'm opposed, if that makes, that's clear.
You're opposed to tabling it?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna vote yes also, because, I mean, I would like to change one thing, but not the rest of it, but we'll come back to it.
To make sure of our staff's homework, we want to get 3 years of data on what this might mean fiscally.
Might
Correct?
give us a better picture.
That better picture. Thanks.
Well, the only problem with that is, though, is that once you put this policy in effect, those people that are getting ready to retire will make sure that they don't use their vacation days so they can get that chunk of change, and which be a pretty significant chunk of change at the end of the year. So I'm not so sure that data is going to help you much, but anyway.
Well, you could also do, tell us the numbers of the most it would be if they saved all 15 days.
Thinking
Would
through this.
depend on what position
Well,
they're in.
if you take a principal's salary
Right.
and figure the daily rate of a principal's salary for 15 days, and if we would have, and we have principals that are close to retiring, and so if you figure their salaries and they retire, maybe 5 or 6 of them the same year, you could be talking about quite a bit of money.
Right.
And it's
So-
Thinking through this, just to understand too, that since we weren't paying them for it, they probably used it. And so we might, the data may still be skewed that way as well, because if they don't get paid for it, they're going to take it before they separate.
So besides principals, who else are we talking about? Because teachers, they get 4 days, but they,
It doesn't count
okay,
teachers.
okay. Right. Personal, okay, vacation. So,
Teachers don't get vacation days, so it would be any of your directors,
okay.
all those levels of directors that we have.
But isn't there an incentive as to why we're doing this, to maybe encourage them to stay on so we don't have to hire subs? Judy, could you explain that?
Well, I can,
Yes,
if
yeah.
that's okay,
She
Judy.
explained it
Yes.
to me, so
Yes.
Go
you
ahead.
go right ahead.
So if, let's pick let's say a principal, okay? They're contracted through June 30th, okay? they have 30 days left of vacation. If we don't have this policy in place, they can leave the end of May, and the whole June, there's no transition. We hire a replacement. They're not there to coach them, help them transition to their new position. If this policy was in place, we would gain 2 more, possibly. They may choose not to get paid out. I mean, it's everybody's individual decision. But they're getting just 2 more weeks of, possibly 2 more weeks of work from them to help with the transition. Or a director, food service director, or technology director, don't even think about it, Luke, would leave, there would be a possibility for some more transition help.
Don't we have assistant principals in every building?
Yes. And we also don't typically get subs for principals unless they're on extended leave for some reason, correct? We only get a sub for a principal if they're gone for an extended period of time due to illness or something, family and FMLA. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Another issue I have, I really believe that our employees have vacation days and they should be encouraged to take them. Sometimes you're not sick, you couldn't go to the doctor, but you just need a break. And those are the times you need to be able to take your vacation. And I know anytime you take a vacation day, you have work to make up, but I believe our employees should be encouraged to take that time, because I think it will make them a little better acclimated to coming back and doing the job that they want to do if they take a day occasionally. And I know that some of them do not do that because they feel like they're sliding their kids or sliding their classroom. But it's important, in my mind, that vacation days be used. And I think encouraging them to, or making it available to them to save those days and get paid is really a disservice to their time in the district. That's my own personal opinion. I don't know if anybody agrees or not. But.
Well, the only other thing was, it's a maximum of 15 days.
Right.
So it's not like they can accrue this year's days and next year's days, and it's only 15 days. So there's a maximum of 15 days.
Well, but when you look at those salaries, you're probably talking somewhere in the neighborhood of $400 a day, something like that. We have assistant principals in the building, and we have every building, no matter what the size of the building is, we have assistant principals. And I would hope that our principals will take their vacation days and 15 days, that's $6,000 if you're talking about it, $400 a day. That's a pretty big chunk of change, and we haven't talked about really doing anything for the people that are teachers at this particular rate. Now, keep in mind, I was an administrator most of my career, and I'm off farm, trust me. But the truth is, I just think this is something we need to really think about.
Okay, well, it's passed, so. All right, so it's tabled until, all right. So we are at, where am I here? All right, 8.2, second reading and adoption of policy GDBDA.
Yes, so this is the same policy, but for support staff. And so this is the one that includes the additional provision about accruing days and years of service, rather than only the vacation day selling that we were talking about in the last policy.
So again, I apologize for misspeaking, but I'm okay with the part about if somebody was in a 10 or 11-month position and they moved to a 12-month position, and it's a lateral move, counting the years of service related to all their other benefits. But again, the concern is about paying out the vacation days. Depending on the position, after you've been here a while, it's the same provision, right? 15 days you could transfer over.
That's right.
And I would have rather, when we talked about the classified salary, given the bigger bump from the beginning, but that wasn't your recommendation, so I went along with that because I feel like, you know, we need to be competitive with the private sector, you know, when there's jobs people can get that start at $15 an hour, and we're not there yet. I'm concerned that you know, if somebody sees that I can get my vacation days and I can leave and make more money someplace else, well, I'm gonna take my vacation days and I'm gonna go get that job that pays more too. So that's just my.
Can you give us an example of a staff member that would, like the custodian?
So custodians are 12-month employees, so it wouldn't really apply to them.
Okay.
Most often, it would apply to like people in a secretarial position, and you know there are some others, but that's the most frequent one. So if somebody is a secretary for 10 years in a position that like only works during the school year, and then they move to a secretary position that works all year round, they're starting at year 1.
Oh, that's, okay.
In terms
I
of
understand
accruing.
that part. Okay, you're just, I meant, yeah. I meant the vacation payout.
Okay.
No,
We-
it's the same.
No, we're on,
One's for.
This is the
one's
second
for
one.
classified,
Her question
one's
was
for-
about, give an example of the vacation payout
for a support,
for
yeah.
support staff.
So if a custodian is, if they're making $12 an hour, John, I can't, the math in my head, but $12 an hour, 8 hours a day for 15 days, what does that come to? Right, like, I don't know that math.
$1,500 is easy math.
Okay, so, but that's, you know, if they're making $12 an hour, so it totally depends on somebody's hourly rate.
What I meant was, if they leave, what negative effect does that have on us?
Well, we're getting a sub when we can. We're getting a sub for any custodian openings, and so if they leave, we're still paying them, right? Because they have those vacation days, so they're getting paid to not be here, and then we're paying a sub to be here. Close, yeah.
Okay, so can we amend this to go ahead and go with the day shifting for those people who move from one position to another position, to accrue their days by years of service, and go ahead and the sick days and the personal days, and then just take out the paying of vacation days? Can we just, on page 7 of what I had?
That if they do take their vacation days just to use them, then we also have to pay a sub, so it's like paying double.
I know, I'd rather leave it in here,
I would too.
but
You know you're paying double if you pay them.
No.
Which is what we would be doing.
You're paying double if you pay them for their vacation days, and then you have to put a sub for them too.
Why would you have to get a sub if they stayed for the days? You don't. If they take the payment because they didn't take their vacation days, we are not paying for a sub. It's kind of like, thank you for not taking those, and we didn't have to get a sub, so we're gonna give you the money and buy those back instead. You're not paying.
The provision in the policy says they only get that when they leave. And so my concern is, we aren't paying what a lot of people in the private sector are. We're not starting anybody at $15 an hour for most of those positions. And so if I'm in a position where I'm not earning as much money, and I know I can get paid out for my vacation days and go get a better job, why wouldn't I do that? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, I understand what you're saying, Biggie. I don't know.
That's my concern. is
People
because-
are loyal. We have a community here that want to be here and be a part of Fox. I just don't, some people will do that, but I don't see them leaving in droves because of that.
Well, my concern is when you're struggling to make ends meet and you're making that kind of wage and you have to support a family, people will do what they need to do to take care of their family. I don't want to, it's not that I would begrudge them paying them their vacation days if they haven't used it. It's the fear, we already can't find enough people for those positions. And my hope is that next year we don't have to contract out for custodial services like we did this year. I don't want to have to do that again. I'd like to be able to hire our own people from within the community and pay them a living wage.
Okay. So if they stay and don't use their days and they get paid for them, they're still here.
The provision is in the policy, they only get paid when they leave the district for their vacation days. That's what it reads, Judy.
Okay.
It's only when they leave.
Which is an incentive, like she said. I didn't even think about that, but that really is.
An incentive to
Because
leave.
you can move from those jobs to another job pretty quickly, pretty easily.
I mean, I think Walmart's paying $16.50 an hour now.
Right, and so might be, what would that amount to? 15 days for a custodian that's halfway up the salary schedule.
Could we look at,
$1,440.
could we
What?
look,
$1,440.
$1,440.
At $12 an hour.
And so they would get that as one lump sum.
could we pay at the end of a year if if they don't use them and pay them?
That could cost a lot more because you'd be paying every year instead of just when somebody leaves.
And it's not just one group, it's all 12-month classified employees, not just custodians. Judy, are you thinking that we should just make a motion to approve the policy regarding the years of service and wait on the other piece? Regarding
Yeah,
vacation days?
That's what I was getting
I'll be
at.
willing to make that motion
Are
if
you good
that's,
with that?
you're open to that. Anybody
don't
else is open to that?
ahead.
I make a motion that we approve the policy as it relates to counting years of service and strike out the portion related to paying for unused vacation days. And that can,
That's the portion on page 7.
yeah, the portion on page 7, yes.
Can you clarify, the portion on page 6?
The portion on page 6 regarding personal days converting to sick days, that can remain in there. I'm fine with that, if anybody else is.
What if you make a motion to change it, and let's bring it back again, to change what you're wanting to change?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Now that we've already, this is the second, I mean, you want to,
So if I bring it back again at the next meeting, it would be a third reading.
Third reading,
I don't understand the need to bring it back.
third reading, and it would have all the edits so everybody knows what they're
Oh,
voting on.
okay,
Right,
I got
yeah,
you.
right.
That's fine. I thought you meant,
No, just so everybody knows
Knows what
exactly
you're-
what they're voting on.
take out the portion, employees who separate from the district in good standing as determined by the district may sell back up to 15 remaining vacation days at the individual's daily rate of pay.
That's why we'll just edit it out and bring it back, so everybody knows what they're voting on. Yes. So we need a motion to table it?
So move.
Yeah, yes.
So move.
Moved by Jim. We have a motion to table it and bring it back with the revisions? I didn't hear that one, I'm sorry.
I'll restate the motion. My motion was to change, to take out the portion related to vacation days that's on starts on page 6 and goes to page 7, and bring it back for consideration at the next meeting for final vote.
I have another question about length of service being transferred into 12-month position. Is that still part of it? What besides, because I can see this being a problem when you have secretaries that are working 225 days and not getting vacation time, and then someone moving in a 12-month position, and you're going back, and back into her previous employment time and allowing her vacation days on those days that other people did not gain. So is it just vacation days that this length of service is going to affect, or is it going to be steps, or?
It's only vacation.
I can see it being an issue. I can see it being a problem. I can see it being a question from our other secretaries, that you're actually allowing a 225-day secretary to earn vacation days if she moves into a 12-month position. Am I right?
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not sure I understand.
Okay, I'm just,
so if
we have
somebody is in a
secretaries-
225 day and they're not earning vacation.
Right,
And
okay,
then they
but
move into a 260 day, they get.
then you're going back and giving them vacation days.
No, we're not retroactively
You're not,
awarding them
okay.
anything.
So how is their
all
years
this-
of service going to be calculated if you're not considering those 225 days they worked before?
All that's
Well, we would be considering those years when we're counting, when we're giving 11 years of service credit on the scale instead of just one for being new. But we're not going back and awarding the vacation days that she would have earned during those 10 previous years. We're
So-
just saying you get, if you come in with
They were
8
already-
years instead of 7 years, you get 10 days instead of 15.
Oh, so you're changing the years of service that she comes into the 12-month, okay, I
Right.
gotcha.
That's
it.
all we're
gotcha.
doing. So what would happen, so everybody understands?
I
somebody
understand that
would-
now. Mhm.
Somebody would work here for 15 years at an elementary building, and then move to another position that's a 12-month position, and we'd start them at year 0, instead of honoring their 15 years of service with it. If they don't accrue vacation days, they just get that credit of working for us for 15 years. Does that
Because
help everybody?
Because up until then, they were
I'm
getting
sure it
their
was hard for the
entire
audience
summers
to
off.
track as well, but that's what we're trying to do. Okay?
Basically, the policy will come back with revisions, and we'll look at it next month.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, we have a motion for
We
that.
have a motion.
No, I don't have a second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed? All right. 8.3, second reading and adoption of policies. We need a motion to approve the attached policies for a second reading and adoption. I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. 9.1, consent agenda, items 9.2 through 9.7. We need a motion to approve all consent agenda items as presented.
So move.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, 10.1, we need a motion to adjourn. Crystal. All in favor? Motion